Hetepu, Namaste, Assalamu Alaikum. This is Qesankh Keperu with another exciting video for you. And in this video, we have an exciting guest by the name of RayAnn, and she is an energy alchemist. But before we go into that, I'd like you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. If you want to take your knowledge to the next level, you can become a Patreon supporter, and you can support us for as little as $1, $5, or $20 per month. It's up to you. There's no obligation, and you can cancel at any time. Your support will get you access to exclusive videos on the esoteric, on the spiritual videos, like how to meditate, how to summon spirits, how to work with the deities, the gods, how to contact them and petition them for help, how to do self-hypnosis to curb overeating, or maybe you need to get your butt to the gym, and how to put together a magical amulet, so much. And if you are an Asir level supporter, you'll get all your oracle readings for free. So become a Patreon supporter. Also, if you'd like to read more about my teachings, we have free ebooks for you. You can scroll down below, click on the links, and start reading today, absolutely free. So with that said, share this video with family and friends so we can spread this information across the planet and change the vibrational frequency, one more conducive to love and harmony. So Haru Nefer, how are you? So I'm really excited today because we have a special guest who was in my Kemetic Hypnosis class. And her and I had a lot of, we had a great discussion. We talked a lot during that class, and we actually had a bunch of people in the class, and we all shared our experience. But I really like connecting with her, and I'll tell you why. Her energy was so good. I can just, I go off of energy, and I felt her energy. It was good. It was authentic, and her and I connected based on past trauma. So what we're going to be doing is talking about childhood trauma, overcoming that, and getting into the details. So with that said, let me introduce you to RayAnn, energy alchemist. RayAnn, how's it going?
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. I mean, we're going to have fun. We're going to have fun.
Yeah. So tell us about yourself and what you do.
So I am an energy alchemist, and I am also a spiritual guide and a mindset coach. And what I specifically do is I help women from people pleasing, go from people pleasing to approval seeking, and to really create a deeper self connection with themselves, and also create unshakable self-confidence. So
good.
That's specifically what I do. And with that, there's many different layers, of course, because when you deepen a self-connection, there's different aspects. So that's just in a nutshell, okay? To simplify things.
Tell us, I love your look. You have this exotic look. Where are you from?
I was born in the Philippines. Yes, I was. And I grew up on a small island, teeny tiny island called Guam.
Oh.
It is. It's 32 miles long. And I also lived on another island next to Guam, which is like 15 miles long, and that's Saipan. And so I'm Pacific Islander, and I moved to the States when I was 16. So
great.
Here in America.
Tell us, how did you get into spirituality? Everybody takes a different path. So tell us about your journey.
So, okay. So this is really interesting. I mean, okay, I'm like, I don't even know where to start, because I feel like we get into spirituality because it never really leaves us, especially if we're really in tune, right? So there was always this deep knowing within myself that would just not shake off, regardless of the conditioning, the religion, the control, the government, all of that. There was always this calling, almost like a rebellious act, where I'm like, this can't be it. This is not it. And so I feel like I can start from the journey when I died and came back, and that would be like your death experience. And I was 11. And that's when I got introduced to, actually, and not knowing it at the time, astral traveling, because for I don't know how many months I slept like this feeling like my soul was going to leave my body. But it was the understanding and the awareness that that was possible and that could be possible because I felt it, but I didn't know how to bring it together. And then I had all these other experiences in my life to then later meet my twin flame, who was my husband, which I didn't know at the time was, because it was twin flame didn't even exist. And then all the signs were there. Years later, my friends were like, oh my God, he's your twin flame. Look at, here's all the signs. And I'm like, oh my God. So that kind of started, it was like this never forgotten path. And it was like, I was always being led to be on the path, even though the conditioning would sway me out of it. It's just like, you don't forget. So would I say it's an awakening? It's more like a remembrance for me because you remember.
Yeah.
Why did I come here? Right? It's like that's the question. Like, what's my purpose in life? And if we're so trapped in the matrix and in the conditioning, you would think that you're just this body. And at some point, you're going to leave the body. And where do you go? Heaven or hell? It's like, but it's more than that. It's beyond that. And so then it's just, again, it's that calling, and it just never left me. So I just continued to then get the knowledge, and then the transformation happened. And then I was really about integration and embodiment. And so it's like walking the talk, right? So I'm like, okay, in order for me to fully grasp this knowledge, I have to be able to experience it in my life. And what does that entail? That means I must embody this information and integrate it in some way. And so here we are. And so then I was in the beauty world for 15 years. And one day I was moisturizing my body and this voice was like, you're done. And I was like, what? Wait, no. And I followed that. I listened to that and I listened to my guidance. And 6 months later, I was done. And we're talking about, my clients have been with me from day one, 15 years from day one. Okay. Like, so the transition was very easy. It was like, it just all worked out because my clients started to leave the state. And I was like, oh my God, that's going to make things so much easier. So I was like, okay, that's fine. It's okay that you leave the state. That's good. Because they didn't know at the time that I knew that I was leaving. And so the transition was very easy. And then that moment, I was just like, okay, what's next? And then just following the guidance. So, and here we are today, still following the guidance.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because, and this will help with a lot of the people watching. When you made that transition to spirituality, did you find that people didn't accept it? You had to distance yourself from certain people? How was the reaction among the family, friends, coworkers, things like that?
It was more my family. And here's the thing. So I would have been labeled the rebellious child. So any decision I made that was in opposition, it was like, oh, that's just the way she is. That's just the way she is. So it was easy, but at the same time, it was hard for me because it was easier for them to accept, as in, oh, that's just the way she is. She always just followed the beat to her drum. That's how she is. But for me, it was harder because I felt like an outsider. It was like, dang, so my decisions, you guys are not okay with that, but I'm okay accepting your decisions and what you decide for your life, but you're not okay with mine. There were times where I felt very lonely. And I was literally in hermit phase. I secluded myself from a lot of people. And then there was also shame behind it because I was ashamed with showing who I really was. And it was not the conditioning that you guys thought I was. And so I was ashamed to show that part of me.
Well, that's such a great point. So hold on. You said it's not the conditioning of who I was. That's not who I really was. That is so profound that you said that. That is interesting.
It's true, though. But it's true, right? And so I was ashamed. I was ashamed to show the side of myself that felt true to me. So then I battled with myself. There was like the guilt and like, oh my God. And this is where the people pleasing really started too, because it was just the front. It was a whole freaking front. I'm like, it's all fucking fake. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, this is YouTube. I forgot. We're not supposed to do that on YouTube. But yeah.
Wow.
So
That's now. Let me ask you this, because a lot of times, like, I don't have any, I don't have any kids. Well, I take care of a lot of kids. I love working with kids, and I often like adopt, become like a stepdad in a way. But one thing I tell the mothers is this: I said, you're gonna have to make a choice if you're going to accept this spiritual path. That if you impart it onto your children, it's going to benefit them so much, but yet there may be a little isolation from the outside world that they fear. And I'll give an example. Like when I was in priesthood, we didn't celebrate Christmas, and the children didn't celebrate Christmas. And I always got the sense that when I saw the kids, felt like they were missing out. How are you raising your kids?
not the way I was taught. So what I have done, what we have done, I shouldn't say I, but what me and my husband has done is explain to them the why. And really, and this is, so I just got done with my masterclass, my shadow work masterclass. And this is a great analogy, because we've been taught in religion to only see, I'm going to say, the right hand path, just so that the mind has a symbol or some kind of allegory to grasp. So we have the right path and the left path, dark, light, however you want to identify it. We've been only taught one path, which is the right path. Right? So without looking at the left path, we don't see the full spectrum. And so without seeing the full spectrum, you have fear instilled, which would be maybe fear of isolation, fear what people would think, fear that I'm not like everybody else. But when we see the full spectrum, which we show our children, then they get to decide for themselves. Oh, okay. This is where they say knowledge is power, right? Okay, so you don't celebrate Christmas because the agenda behind it, but what's really the true meaning behind why it all started. And so we just lay it out. We lay it all out. We show them the whole thing, and from like A through Z, like why it was started, who started it, where did it come from, why it became pagan, and all of that. And so then they get to make the decision for themselves, because at the end of the day, I can't make that decision for you. You are your own sovereign being. Even though you are my child, I'm here to guide you. And so with our guidance, you get to decide for yourself. And I tell my kids all the time, we tell our children, you get back what you put out, period. Just like a pendulum, right? I have one right here.
Oh,
So
cool.
with the reaction, you get,
Yeah.
so you get back what you put out. So I tell them to be mindful of that. So what are you going to put out? Right?
Exactly. I actually saw this interview with this woman. She's a feminist, and she was raising her young boy. And I really feel sorry for the young boy, because all she could talk about was how he knows how to talk about protecting women and women's rights. And he basically regurgitates everything she says. And it's really, it was disheartening, because you need to let the child develop naturally, as you were saying, not force anything. And it was clear in the interview that she was pushing it on to the child. The child didn't really have a choice. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think that's going to backfire, because when the child gets older, he's going to rebel, because it was really imposed upon him. And I love what you said. You have a lot of wisdom, by the way. You were like, yeah, you. Oh, damn! I forgot what exactly you said, but it's like, letting the child make the decision for themselves, but being a guide and helping them, and more importantly, see the logic behind the decision. You know what I mean? I think that's beautiful.
And also having them feel it too. Because again, with the emotions, right? It's like, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about that decision? And this is why we decided to homeschool our kids from the beginning, because, again, do we want to have our kids in the system? We're already in a system, okay? We're already in this governments. So I have the control and the power as the parent to decide this is what we're going to do, because we know what it's like to be in the system. So in order for our children to have full expression as much as possible on a soul level, they cannot be conditioned in the system. And people may say, okay, well, what about your conditioning? That could be possible too. However, there's always, we strike the balance of how do you feel about this? You know,
Yeah.
what do you see in the bigger picture of things? So
is your husband into spirituality, or is he?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
He was really, so I feel like he was like the gateway catalyst, because when I met him, he was not into religion. He was already exploring so many different aspects of truth, because religion has its own truth as well. Everything does. And I was still getting out of, and we were 18 at the time. So I just was getting out of the church, because I made that decision that this is not for me. I actually made that decision a long time ago, when I was the very first time. And I thought, it's so funny, because as a kid meeting different friends, I thought they're going to give me my answer, because I had so many questions. And I thought going into a different denomination of church would give me the answer. But then it was the same thing. I went to a Baptist, it was the same. Methodist, it was the same. I thought Jehovah's Witness had the answer. And I was like, and this is nothing against religion, by the way, okay? Just saying. Disclaimer, okay? I'm not putting nothing against, and no judgment here. And so I thought Jehovah's Witness had the answer, because they didn't celebrate birthdays and all this stuff. And I was like, yes. Still did not fulfill the answers that I was seeking. So then when I met my husband at 18, I was just like, oh my God, this is the start to something great. As in, holy cow, I'm going to start to find the answers to my questions. So yeah, he's very much into it.
What I'd like to say about that in terms of relationships is that everyone has a destiny. And it may be your destiny, you may be spiritual, but you don't hook up with somebody who's spiritual. I'll give you a case in point. Like
Yes.
most of my life, I have hooked up with women who were not into spirituality. And what I learned from that as a spiritual person is that I have to be the epitome of what is moral, what is good. So that in other words, I'm the walking brand. I am
Mm-hmm.
the, I'm not selling anything verbally but what
Mm-hmm.
I am
Yeah.
is I'm showing you by my actions and what I'm doing that
Mm-hmm.
this life is the right life. And many of
Mm-hmm.
them have picked up on that energy of my devotion, my passion, and they've gone with it, you know. But
Yeah.
people do the wrong thing. I notice a lot in relationships is they try to debate, argue, and sell their mate on what they're doing. And I said, that is the
Yep.
wrong approach. And that's going to end in disaster, you
Yes.
know. And it
Yep.
also is a lot about being at peace, which I call amen. Because there was one time I got involved with a woman who was from I think she's from Nigeria, and I don't know if you know anything about people in Nigeria, but they are Jesus freaks, especially
Mm-hmm.
white Jesus freaks.
Mm-hmm.
And she was
Mm-hmm.
along, you know, she was
Yes.
just on that path. And I had to explain to her the history and everything, and I noticed that it wasn't doing any good. So I had to take a different approach and just show her my devotion, what I was doing, and how it has benefited me. And then I think she called me up one day and she was like, "Can you tell me where can I get that book, the Metu Netta, that you studied?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, she's getting into it now." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Do you? How do you do with friends? Are you selling them on it? You talk about it? Like, how does the relationship work with them?
So, okay. So my old friends, childhood friends, they just see me as I am now. And some of them has reached out to me. And actually, I had one childhood friend signed up for my program. So there you go. So I do. I continue to live my life, because I went through that phase of what will they think of me. Um, and it was just a split in my mind. But when I said, you know what, I'm gonna fully own up to what I know and who I am, and I'm going to fully own up to it and show up that way, And if you don't like it, then you'll come back later and you might like it. That's not my problem. Okay. If you don't like it, that's not my problem. So I just continue to show up that way. And this is what I tell other mothers too with children. They will see how you respond to things. Again, it's conditioning, right? So our kids look up to us. And so depending on how you respond or even react to things, they will see that. And that will speak volumes. We lead by example. And if they don't get it now, they're going to get it later. My 6-year-old, she told me, she's like, Mom, I want to learn everything that you're doing. And I said, what is that? She's like, your rituals and, she plays my sound bowls and she knows I teach her about the ritualistic work that I do and the spells and the magic that I create in my life. And so there's a lot to learn, but she watches me and she sees me and she's like, what are you cooking up now? What is that? I have a book of shadows for my kids so that when I transition and leave, it's like, here you go. You want the spells, you want the recipe, here it is. So, and I'm not going to force that because my older daughter, she's not really into it. She sees it. She sees it. So she may be doing it behind closed doors and that's okay. But she's had confidence because she's a powerful manifester. And so when she manifests things, I'm like, look at you. Like,
hey,
look at you. So they may not see it or they may not act on it right then and there, but they'll see it every single time. And that's what's important is when we show these examples, and I, again, said it in my masterclass, walking the talk as much as possible because we are in this human existence. Okay. Just saying, we're going to clap up. We're going to F up sometimes, but it's the awareness that we have. And so walking the talk and doing that as much as possible, it ripples. It ripples.
It does. It's the butterfly effect, I'm not sure.
Exactly. Yes.
People don't understand.
I don't know who Vanha is, but okay.
She's a guest I had a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay. I'm going to watch that then. Okay.
Yeah. She was great too. She was definitely great too. I hate to put you on the spot, but do you think we could hear some of your sound bowls or?
I could grab one.
Yeah.
It's right over there. You know what? I have my pyramid right here. This is fun. This is my singing pyramid.
Okay.
So that's, it has a different frequencies. Nice. So that's one of them. And then I have so many different instruments, but let's see what's calling to me for this live. Okay, I'm going to grab the one that's calling. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, so this is let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this would be for the throat. Hang on. Let me put it on my desk. Here we go.
Yes, nice.
That's the. There we go.
Feel it. Positive energy.
For the throat.
Throat
for
chakra.
That expression, okay? For anybody who feels closed up. Just saying.
I feel more spiritual already.
Yeah, so I have, there's 7 of them and it represents a chakra. So it's like it goes from bigger to smaller.
Mine would be the heart chakra, which is Ma'at, the goddess Ma'at.
I almost grabbed. Actually, no, I didn't grab the heart. I almost grabbed the yellow, the solar plexus.
Anybody in the chat, is there one that you would like to work on? Let us know. Maybe she can grab the bowl and play it for you. But tell me, it seems like, have you given advice, relationship advice? I mean, how is working with other women? Tell us some insight about the problems that other women have had, because you said you work specifically a lot of times with women, right?
Yeah, no, I have. I was in relationship coaching for some time. Yeah. So, what advice can I give a woman? So, the very first thing is all within. The change starts within. And so if your spouse, and this is the paradox, because in a relationship dynamic, especially if you've been together for quite some time, like me and my husband, we've been together for over 20 years. So, we got some history. And the history will create setbacks if you linger and stay in the past. Because with time being always moving, we have the ability and the choice to decide to create a new history. So for the newbies who are going into a relationship, don't ever try to change a man. Don't ever try to change a guy. It doesn't. If the guy is treating you a certain way and you don't like that, check yourself before you wreck yourself. It's true, because it's a subconscious belief that is being reflected back to you. So thank the guy, actually, because he's a beautiful reflection mirror that's showing you what you need to work on. He's showing you what you feel you're not worthy or deserving of.
That is so deep.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, if anyone's triggering you, is it them or is it me? You're the common denominator.
I have a friend, she's Russian, and she came over to my place late night, really upset because the guy she's with is not showing her a lot of affection and not giving her a lot of time. And, I did some readings for her, and I said, basically, you're going to have to break it off. I mean, it's not fulfilling. It's not a fulfilling relationship. And you think things are easy because you can intellectually diagnose something, but your emotion, your heart gets caught up, and it makes it the most difficult thing in the world to leave something to where it's not a healthy relationship for you.
Yep.
And
see, with that, at that moment, that person really can thank that situation and move on because that was the lesson, but they would have to work within themselves and really internalize what had happened and have self-reflection so that they can work on not bringing that to the next relationship. Because I guarantee it's gonna happen in the next relationship. It will. Yeah. It's a cycle that the lessons we must learn. So that's what I believe in. Everything is me pushed out. That's never got it. We live in a feedback loop. So everyone that I encounter is just a feedback to me.
Oh man, you are so deep. Stop it right now. You're making me upset now because you
I'm not gonna apologize for that, but I know sometimes it's crazy because it's not crazy, but the way it comes through the information, sometimes I feel that like it comes in symbols and the articulation. I'm like, how am I going to articulate this in a way that is more simplified? Because sometimes I feel like it can be advanced or someone may be like, what do you mean by that? And then it's like, we have to peel it away and be like, okay, this is what I mean. But yeah, I do. I like to deep dive. That's what I like to deep dive with my clients. So
there's a lot of odd truth in things that you say. I'm going to make this prediction for everyone here. I think you're going to be big. I really do. Okay. Because I see people online, some people I know, some people I don't know, spouting nonsense, but you are on point, and
thank you.
So you're going to, and I'm going to say, I knew her when,
You're like, yes, she was on my channel. Yes, she was.
I got the proof. Here's the video.
Yeah, exactly. See, and that's the thing sometimes that I do get myself in the way because, when we play by the rules, like let's say we're playing by the YouTube rules and the YouTube algorithm, sometimes
Mhm.
you can't just go on and put just a random title. You know what I mean? Even though that's what that's what's being called for is like, this is what it is. This is what I'm talking about. But then sometimes there's like a certain structure or a systematic approach to things, right? And that sometimes could be my nemesis sometimes.
Mm.
Because then there's
Well,
that other part of me where I'm just like, F it. I'm just going to do whatever the heck I want.
how did you get this knowledge? Like, what did you study with different people? How did you read? How did you get this? Or it just intuitively came to you?
So, people ask me that all the time. So, and this is really interesting because the information, so I will gather information. I have really good memory, and there's times where I can recall a book verbatim. But then when I started to really go in flow, the information is downloaded and I write this stuff down. And I've seen a pattern in the downloads because I look through my journals and it's the same information, but an expanded version, another expanded version, another
Mhm.
expanded version. And it keeps on expanding. And it's like 2.0, 3.0. So the answer to your question is, where do I get the information? From source. A lot of
Yeah.
the information, like last night, I had this download with time. And I knew about time being timeless, but to put it all into this new level of awareness perspective, I was like, oh my God. So okay, we know that the only time that exists is now. But if
Yes.
that means in this infinite way that continues on and on and on, and there's what you would call stamps of time, but it's still existing, but it coexists still, right? Like when we look at the tree of life, it's still as above, so below, as within, so without. So it's one of the same thing. So I'm looking at it from the perspective of quantum jumping, quantum leaping,
Hmm.
and meeting the future self. So if all time exists, past, present, future, and the only time that is now, then what do I do to meet my future self, right? In this time continuum. And so the one way to do that, because I was trying to wrap my head of assume the feeling that it's real, assume the feeling that it's real. I'm like, well,
Yes.
dang, the evidence is not here. That is not reflecting it. So what do you mean assume the feeling that is real? But it's really tapping, when you tap into time from ego point, which is there's not enough time, time is running out, there's fear around time. But when you tap into time from higher self perspective, it's infinite. So it's like you're suspended in air. So you decide, what do you feel today in this time, without thinking of and without attaching yourself to there's not enough time.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really interesting, that download that I had. And I was just like, oh my God. And so some of these downloads that I get, I write it down. And a lot of the times it takes time for it to simmer and cook
Mm.
and be ready. And then the next time I reiterate it, the next reiteration, it becomes clearer and clearer. So
Yeah.
that's where I get a lot of my information from, is really, it just comes to me. And I've decided to just stay in my lane, because when I look for other information outside of myself, that's when it messes me up. Because then I start to take on kind of like, what is it called? A cookie cutter way of doing things.
Yeah. Yeah. Conveyor belt cookie cutter system. And, a lot can be said too about what you're saying of Neville Goddard, because when he started out, no one was into that. He was teaching stuff way ahead of his time. And now we've caught up to that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can
Exactly.
imagine the reaction he got back then about manifesting, pushing out, and people in the Christian church must have
Right.
been like, "Who's this guy on?"
Yeah. And a
Mhm.
lot of it too is testing and experience. So the experience, so it's in alignment with my experience too. So this is why with the stuff that I do teach, I've already embodied in some level. Like we've already done this, okay? So we know that it works, and we know that there's different layers and different aspects, but a lot of it too is from the experience. So, and the embodiment of it, because again, like there's the information transformation, and then the embodiment integration. So we could just collect information, and if we don't put action into it, what's the information? It's
And
just
this is
another
the
information.
problem. Yeah, this is the problem that I notice a lot of people online, right? And it's very dangerous. They become wooed by information, but there's no integration. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
they all are just caught up in the speaker being a good orator and disseminating information, but the speaker doesn't follow or walk in, walk in the light. And
That's where
then it
wisdom
becomes,
comes in,
yeah,
is the experience. Yeah.
yeah. And I try to tell people that all the time. I said, don't be wooed by these teachers who just read books and then regurgitate information. You've got to see if they're actually, are integrating the information in their lives. And
Yep.
and one of the things I talk a lot about is when you have, I can go into this subject ad nauseum, but the Christian church, you have these people in the church, and the minister is reading from the Bible, and he's trying to tell you the right things to do. I said, you don't need someone to tell you the right things to do. You don't need someone to read from a Bible. You have connection to source or the Akashic
Yep.
records. You can download that information,
Mm-hmm.
So he's pulling a con on you to make you think that the only way you can get closer to God, or the only way you will get knowledge, is from him, because he can
Through him,
interpret.
a third party. Right. No.
Yeah,
And that's the thing. Through embodiment, we have our own interpretation. I don't know who quotes it, but he says something about, you are the only person that can really understand. And if you don't have the understanding, you'll never understand.
Yeah.
And so if you don't put it into practice or some type of embodiment or integration, you're not going to gain the wisdom, because you don't understand. You're just basically regurgitating the information that you took on and, putting it out there. I read books. I do.
Mhm.
And, but it's through my understanding and through the wisdom, right, that I get to take on my own interpretation of what is being put out in congruency to my own life. And this is why I tell my clients too, we're always evolving. So the information you gather today is going to be different when you listen to this again tomorrow.
Exactly.
Try it out. Read a passage every single day, the same one for 30 days. I've done that. And every single time I've read one passage, I read it the next day, it was different. And then the third day, and then the fourth day, and the fifth day. And I was just like, oh my God. And before you know it, that passage, you become one with that passage. And now all of a sudden, that's who you are in your life. That's what you're becoming. It's part of the program too. I mean, hello, music, Hollywood, media.
Yeah, exactly.
Through repetition.
Yeah, we've got to get out of the energy of what I call idol worship. We worship the person, but we don't look at the information, the teachings. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I want to go back to what the wandering say. So, do you have a solar plexus bowl, or he's asking
I
about
do. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Let me go get that. Hold on.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the bigger one. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So this is for the solar plexus.
All right.
So somebody said they wanted the solar plexus because they need to assert themselves more.
Yeah.
I was just talking about that in my masterclass.
Okay.
I'm going to put it right up here because when it's laid, take some time. Okay, it's not balance. Here we go.
Wow. Yeah. Nice.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice.
Okay. Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, one of these like the bowls, they sit on like a rubber thing to keep it balanced, and that's how you're able to get the sound. If it's off balance, it doesn't. The sounds gets off. It's
Oh, okay.
interesting. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the not meditation, sorry, hypnosis that we did, and about just healing
Yes.
trauma. Because you and I talked at length about thunder and what you experienced, because what you experienced while in hypnosis. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yes. So I'm trying to recall that, because in the beginning you asked what did you want to work on, and I was like, oh yeah, this lightning thing. I don't know where it's coming from, and through the hypnosis, I started to towards the end, I started laughing. It was like a release because I just couldn't contain myself. I was like, oh my God. So what the epiphany is the lightning was this metaphor, this symbol of this power, the transmutation. And I wasn't afraid of actual lightning. It was revealed to me that I was afraid of this power that I have. It's a lot of power. And, this is why I call myself an energy alchemist, because it's through the alchemizing of these energies. And sometimes they can go bazazap. And it's so strong, right? It's like, pow, that you, as a magician, I have to be able to harness the energy that is more suitable for my focus. And that takes practice and training, because if you're so used to, right? You got to be able to somehow contain this energy. And lightning strikes. And so with the hypnosis, it was this release that I had, that I just started laughing. I was just like, oh my God, I'm not afraid of it anymore.
I was just laughing. I'm like, but that actually is kind of common. A lot of people yeah, a lot of people, because laughing can release energy, and it's a good thing, you know what I mean? But one of the things, just so the audience knows, that we talked about was dealing with trauma. There are many ways to approach that, and I don't subscribe to the Freudian method of sitting down, talking through your problems, and hoping you reach an epiphany or an understanding. I really believe that there's two ways. There's meditation, there's hypnosis. Hypnosis being the most powerful way to go in there and kind of like rewrite your script, plug in a new download operating system, because it is the only way that can tap into the subconscious mind and really deal with that trauma that in most cases becomes so hardcore in our subconscious mind. And we don't realize it, and it comes out and it affects us in our relationships, at work, and things of that nature. And you don't want to carry that weight with you. You want to be in love and forgiveness and try to transcend it. You know what I mean? And there's reasons why we're incarnated into this existence. We choose the family line that we come through. There's reasons why we've chosen to go through some of this. And, like my reason could be to point me in a spiritual direction, become a better person. But everybody's reason could be different. You know what I mean? And if it wasn't for what happened to me as a child, I wouldn't pursue this spiritual stuff. I wouldn't even care about it. You know what I mean? How somebody's paying you a compliment.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
She said, what? I see. Okay, 20. She looks 25.
Wait, Dan 20. He looks 25. That's awesome. Okay. Yeah, I'm assuming it's a compliment.
Okay, the 25 is older than 20, but okay, but I'll take the 25.
Yeah,
because I'm
you're 25. I thought you were 25.
No, no. I have a 16-year-old. How can that be? I mean, that could be possible. Can it?
Yeah.
If I had my
Yeah.
kid at 10 or 13 or whatever. I mean,
Well,
my cousin had her kid at 13.
well, you look good. You look great. So that's you know. Are you is it you attribute that to your diet? Like
Yeah. I would say genetics, really good skincare, okay, exercise, movement, and yeah, I would say diet. You know, I'm not the crazy freak that I was before when I was in the fitness world. I give myself grace. I eat what I want to eat when I want to eat it. You know, but
cool.
again, all in all in balance, because anytime I have this thing, like anytime you overswing it, it throws off balance, and nature is always going to find a way to find balance. That's what we see in nature. You know, you see the trees, the leaves are falling to create the balance so that new trees can go in. You know, it's not, the tree doesn't ever just keep giving growing leaves. At some point the leaves are going to fall out.
Mm.
You
And
know.
that's what I tell people about source, because you have a Christian religion, which is the predominant religion here in this country, and they use that in the tactic of fear. You know, if you don't do
Mm-hmm.
this, God will strike you down. And I tell people, source is interested in balance, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not interested in striking you down. You know, it just wants you to be
Right.
healthy, it should be balanced. You
Yes.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Thriving. Someone said
Yeah.
something about magician and sorcerer. I'm like, I got an answer for that, but I'll let you answer it.
No, no, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Well, so this is my take. Okay, so we have black magic, which is could be used for good or bad, and then we have white magic, which could be a lot of the times what we see. Okay, sorcery is for the gain of themselves. It's for, so what happens is, so we live in this Hollywood sorcery. Okay, what
Yes.
happens is they, when they swing that pendulum, they try to manipulate the pendulum so when it swings the other way, the people are consenting so that they take on all the karma and not the person, the petitioner,
Oh, deep, deep. Oh,
not the petitioner. So then their hands are wiped off clean. So it benefits them solely, not sorcery. A magician is, can also go both ways, but the magician who is for the highest good will create magic that is in the highest good of all and for themselves. So there's that balance of, I'm in it to get something as a return, but also I'm serving so that it helps others in the process. And in
mm,
helping others, I know that I'm going to be taken care of. Sorcery is just, it's me, 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 me. What can I have for me? It's all mine. You're going to consent to my magic. You ain't going to have no control because you just consented. And so they do it deliberately, the information right in front of your face. So subconsciously, you're already consenting, right?
yeah.
So then they say, well, they consented because we showed them the sacrifices. So they consented to that. So hands are clean, karma's on you, and they get to walk away. That's the difference. What's your take on it?
No, that you said it perfectly, absolutely right. And what I wanted to point out is we see a lot of sorcery going on in the music industry. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Because you have these individuals, be your Cardi
Mm-hmm.
B's and the
Yep.
baby, and they are consenting. You know, and they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to get others to
To
consent,
consent with them. Yep.
and we don't realize that what's going on. You know, and we
Mm-hmm.
become a participant in it. And I'm like, well, it's
Yep.
gonna. That's why I tell a lot of people, you know. I mean, this is up to everybody, but I say I don't listen to rap music, you know, because I know what's
Mm-hmm.
going on and what's behind it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But
I think it's. I think too. It depends on, because we do have the ability and the control to, once we have this awareness, of course, to not take the program on, right? But if you don't have the awareness, you're going to take it on,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
going to, so that would be the difference too. Like, if you want to listen to it, just know what you're getting into and know when to cut it out. When to
yeah,
stop it at some point. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm glad you made that distinction between the two, because there's a lot of things out there that where people are consenting to do things. And I said there's a lot of evil out there because you're now becoming a participant and then you're passing that on and you're involved in that. And you have to understand that if you become involved in that, whatever negative things that happen, you know, you can't cry, I'm a victim, woe is me. You know what I mean? No,
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Exactly.
And we don't understand that there's a connection, that we're all connected. You know, Ma tells us we're all connected. And, you know, you're not going to be, you can't be saying, well, I don't deserve this because I'm backing out. No. There's a collective group and you have to accept accountability because, you know, we think that this country is very big on promoting individualism. You know, you can free to do whoever you do, anything you want to do, be who you want to be.
Really?
And that's not necessarily so.
I'm like, really? Is that true?
Yeah, no. You have a responsibility. You can't just do whatever you want and think there's no repercussions. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's why I tell my kids, you get back what you put out. So yeah, and Neville Goddard will say this too. Like, yeah, you can manifest for vindictive ways. Just know the consequences. You are the cause. There is an effect.
Yeah.
There is an effect. So definitely, you could do both ways. You could do it. You could choose however you want to. Just know you're going to get back what you put out.
Yeah. And that's not designed to just make people afraid, but it's to understand the principles of how.
No, that's the responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I tell people.
It's not fear. It's just the responsibility.
Because I'm not into like the fear-based programming and trying to get you to subscribe to my beliefs through fear. I just want you to understand the principle of which the universe works, so you can become better. You can better understand what the ruling elite is doing, the impact on you, and how it's going to affect you in this life and in the afterlife. You know?
Yeah, and that you get back what you put out is a universal law. We don't see it, and it may not happen right away, but over time, it'll. You know, and people say that's karma. Yes. And at some point in time, it's going to come around and it may not be the same way energetically, you know, so for the transformation energetically, it's the same, but the transformation or how it's presented is different.
Yeah, I always talk to people too because we're so involved in the Greek way of thinking and speaking, and basically it's very left brain, and it's very oratory. This country is all about teaching oratory. Where if you go to ancient civilizations, a lot of the teachings were through osmosis. You go into a culture civilization, and the family was seen as the microcosm of the macrocosm, which was the nation. So basically, in Africa, if you could prove that you're a good father and you have a large family, then you're ripe for kingship and you could ascend to the throne. Because they want to know, like, how are you treating people? How are you treating your family? That's going to demonstrate how you're going to treat others in the nation. You know what I mean? But my point being, which I forgot my point there. But I want to read his question. A sorcerer is like Uchet Nekabet function. That's correct. Maybe Seker, yes. And the Magi is the path of Tehuti. Okay, cool. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Egyptian deities. He's making that equation.
Some of them, not all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It would be like the more mainstream people, you know, the more mainstream deities. Yeah. But yeah, no, I've worked with some of them.
Oh, okay. Great. Awesome.
I just work with the ones who call to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Tell us about that. Tell us about that.
So I don't really invoke anyone unless they call to me, because this is my perspective and my take, because we're all connected with this one source energy, infinite intelligence. And so these deities that present themselves, and this is my take on it, presenting itself to me, is an aspect within myself that I need to cultivate more, develop, or see deeper into. And the deity is just for my mind to grasp, again, an allegory, a metaphor, an image, so that I may devote myself to this image, but really I'm devoting to myself. But with that constant practice of devotion, I get to learn what the aspect of this deity is. So there's this reciprocity that happens, but really it's residing within myself. And so when I want to, let's say let's say I wanted to invoke a deity, it would be an aspect that I could be lacking or underdeveloped. And so therefore the deity can show me. That's how I see it. And so when the deities call upon me, I wonder why that is so. And I'm like, oh, it's to really embody that aspect that I may have forgotten or that I need to continuously develop for my evolution. So that's my take on it. So recently Santa Muerte reached out to me, and I took the plunge. So I made her altar and everything. And in the beginning, there's a lot of propaganda with Santa Muerte, even the way she looks. But I love the essence of what was given to me, because one, she's to me faceless because she's a skeleton. So the fact that she doesn't have a face makes it for me to accept more. And I love the energy. So I was able to really discombobulate all the past fears I had that was conditioned because my mom was scared of skeletons and all that stuff. And to really tap into this, I've always been so fascinated with the underworld. Isis was someone I worked with in the past.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
And really tap into the underworld, because I've always saw myself as the goddess of the underworld. And Santa Muerte was like the freaking cherry on the top. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Yeah, because then it really drilled into the core beliefs of, if you're going to be in this underworld thing and you're really fascinated and you really want to know about this and you feel like you're part of this underworld, then you really, really need to get to the bottom of this fear. And Santa Muerte showed me that.
Perfect. That is so awesome. Thank you so much. Max has, I think, is a statement or a question. You want to? She said, "I feel like I have an insatiable need for the occult and the spiritual righteousness, but I lost faith in it due to lack of evidence and results, and sometimes a place that need in order and other things." Yeah. I'm not really sure what he's. So in other words, he's having evidence, and he needs proof in order to sustain him in this occultish.
I would say if you have this insatiable need, a lot of the times what stops us, or you lost faith due to the lack of evidence. So lack of evidence, sometimes I feel like with the lack of evidence, you got to put in more energy, more faith, more belief. There's a subconscious belief that there's fear around it. And with the fear, it stops us, it restricts us from putting more faith. Like faith is just the energy, right, that we put into our belief. It's really believing. So the more energy we put into it, that's what it's going to manifest. And so with the lack of faith that's being reiterated, then you're not going to see the evidence. Or perhaps you didn't see the evidence in the past because you didn't have all the belief in it to begin with. So one of the things I try to find the occult is in Naruto Shippuden, because it talks about the shinobi. Okay, I don't know about the Japanese occults, so I would have. I mean, they all have similar foundational truths, but I don't know anything about Japanese.
All right, let's go back to this one. Oh, okay. So the evidence is created really by our faith or belief.
Yes. It's like manifestation. Like you believe that you can find $1 and you believe in that, you have faith in that, you're going to find that $1.
Yeah.
You know, faith doesn't happen by just like, okay, I'm gonna, someone told me that I'm gonna light this candle and I'm gonna do, no, it like, even working with deity, we have to build that connection. And in building the
Yes.
connection, you have to have some level of belief that this energy actually exists and that you feel it. If you don't feel it and you don't believe it, and you still have the old programming of, oh my God, this is, she's an evil deity, nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's going to happen. I mean, or you might just get more evidence of the belief that you had, which was she's a scary deity, and it'll stop you from fully connecting because the evidence, which is the illusion. So, I mean, again, feedback world,
Mhm.
right? Based on the belief, you're going to get something like scary, or you may
Yes.
hear more you may hear more propaganda. You
Hmm.
may, you know, so, and this is why they hold back the left path, because again, looking at the whole spectrum, the full spectrum is that's why I decided myself to go to the underworld, because I was like, listen, I'm not scared no more. Let me
That's
get
great.
to this. Yeah, I'm like, let me go to this underworld. And Isis was actually the catalyst. She was the very first deity that I worked with, showing me the levels of the underworld.
That is great. That's awesome. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Um,
that's where the
I
depth comes in. Okay,
with that.
that's where the depth comes in. The
Yeah,
depth, the deepness, the depth. Yeah.
yeah.
So
I had the same.
that's not Sekhmet. Sekhmet's different, right?
No, it's not Sekhmet. Sekert is the she's the high goddess of we can say witchcraft, spiritual powers, and she deals with the 72 mantras that created the
Mm.
universe. So
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
yeah, I had the same problem because when I started to, I was very westernized, left brain. So when I started working with the deities, I just it didn't like I couldn't accept it. You know what I mean? And I got no
Yes,
results. I got no results. I was too
yes,
logical. I
yes,
was like, oh, but why am I putting
yes.
this on the altar? What is that going to do? That's not going to do anything. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Uh, but then when I
Yes,
started to
yes.
get a little more knowledge and tap into more of my right brain emotional self and read up on my ISIS, I began to understand a little bit more, and it built my faith. You know what I mean? So that was wonderful.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
and from there, I just went
Hmm.
all full steam ahead. Um,
Yes,
so
exactly.
I'm just reading another question.
And it's a
Okay.
give and take. When you work with deities, it's a give and take. Like, again, some people work with deities because they want something.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
some deities will do that. It's like, okay, tit for tat, we're done. But like someone like Santa Muerte, yeah, but like someone like Santa Muerte, it's like a devotion. Like, I will show you the same love so long as you give me that same love. And it's really
Hmm.
the connection, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't have to be in front of her altar 24/7. I'm talking to Santa Muerte right now. I feel her presence. So it's like that. So it's a relationship, a connection. So the same thing when people connect with angels and your guides. It's the same thing with deities.
Mm.
But you have to put forth your energy too, because again, that's a whole nother topic with
Yeah.
energetics anyway.
And it really makes me sad. I'm gonna tell you this that we understand, especially what just past happened. I can't mention the name of the virus, but
Yes,
YouTube will penalize me. But
yes, I know what you mean. Miss C. Miss C. We'll call her Miss C.
okay, and I tell people that you're not alone. You have ancestors, you have spirits, you have angels, and if you call upon them and you do the right things, you'll see like really magnificent results. And we're taught so much not to believe in these things. We're taught so much just to rely in the concrete, you know.
Yep.
And it's difficult because there's a lot of pressure not to follow this path. If you
Hmm.
talk about spirituality, I've gotten death threats, the worst type of emails, people who are friends condemning me. I've gotten
Oh
people
my
who
God.
have like defriended me on Facebook, all of these things. And there was one time I said, I don't care. This is the path I'm going to
Yeah,
follow.
exactly. You have to
Let
believe it too before you see it.
Yeah.
That's where we got fooled, because you hear, I'll see it when I believe it, or I'll believe it when I see it. No, You have to believe it first before you
Yeah.
see it. It
Yeah.
happens in our imagination. The same thing with manifestation. You see it, you believe it, and then it manifests into this three existence. But it's already been created. It's already done. It's just a matter of getting to you. So, but you
Yeah.
got to believe that you can. You have to believe that, for someone, let's say, with like trying to manifest money, right? Like if you only believe that you can only manifest $1,000 and you're trying to manifest like $10,000, that's some work to be done, because you're
Yeah.
going to get what you believe. And again, with Neville Goddard, you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are.
Right. Yep.
And that
Exactly.
is based on your beliefs. And that's the same thing with working with deities is, so like with Santa Muerte, I created a relationship with her first before even, still to this day, like even petitioning her for something that I want. And I will say, some people will say the deity is like for material gains. I find it that since working with Santa Muerte, I have a plethora of like spiritual wealth. And
That's
for
great.
me, that's amazing. So we can
Yeah.
look at it from different all angles. It's not just material wealth. You're gonna gain spiritual wealth. You're gonna gain knowledge, wisdom, you know, from these
Yeah.
deities.
I know for me, it was a bit of different, a little different path because when I saw my first manifestation, when I saw the spirit, the apparition in front of me, it was a sense
Mm,
of power. I said, "Oh, I can have power now.
yeah,
I don't need to go to life, get my butt kicked. That this is real
right.
power." And that's when I went full steam
Yeah.
ahead because I said, because I always hated being a victim in situations, right? And I
Mhm.
said, is there a way to flip the script so that I can, like at least on the very fundamental level, stop
Mhm.
getting taken advantage of and walked on by friends and family. That's
Yep.
what I
Yeah.
really started out and wanted to do. So when I tapped into this and I found out, hey, there's these spirits, there's these angels, these deities that will help you and protect you.
Mhm.
And I was like,
Mhm.
and then when I saw it the first time, I was like, oh, this is so awesome. And it really just turned my whole thinking around, And that's what I
Mhm.
tell people. And you're right. It's like it first takes building the relationship. And my first relationship that I built was with Ma'at. That was
Mm.
the first deity I
Mhm.
felt something for. I mean, I can say that I
Yes.
felt it. And
Yes.
since then, through synchronicities and signs, I saw her
Yeah.
responding. And
Mhm.
so it's been a great journey ever since.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. That's another evidence when you see symbols and signs of them. So yeah.
so she says, sorry, Max says, I watched the spirits have a message for you, but every time I tried to contact them through meditation, they didn't contact me. You have any advice for Max?
Again, I'm like, did you grow up in a religious household where there was a lot of fear based? Because that subconscious belief will literally put a block into the channels, because it's creating resistance. I've experienced this in the past where I've had such a fear that it really stopped up the flow. So that would be something to look at, to really get deep within yourself of like, what was so fearful with spirituality? Because that's what it is. There's a lot of fear, like in religion. If you're going the other way, it's like, oh no, she done backslid and she's worshiping the devil. Okay, but it's not true, right? It's like,
Yeah. And there's some, if I can add to that, there's some deities that you may not have an affinity to, or they may not have an affinity to you. So you have to look at.
that's another thing. I was gonna say they may not be. Yeah, it's like some, you're trying to contact them, they may not want to work with you, or it's not
Yeah.
time. It's not that they
Yep.
don't want to. It's just it's not time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just be aware of that as well. She would be the crane phase in 3 stages of womanhood. Oh, okay. 3 stages of womanhood. Okay.
Okay, the crone phase. All right. The one that's really wise, except I don't look like the crone, so it's okay.
Okay.
I live in a Saturn house.
Oh, okay.
I live in a Saturn house. Yeah, when I picked this house out, I was very intentional with the numbers, where it was going to face,
That's good.
what it ruled, and I knew why. You know, there was a reasoning. Obviously, when you create your intentions, it's like why, and I wanted that Saturn house for a reason.
I'm the same way. Like when I go to the gas pump, it has to stop on exactly the numbers I want it to be. You know, like there's certain numbers I make sure that my driver's license has my I live on a certain floor. You know, so
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I got to make sure the lines, you know, according to
Mhm.
numerology and all that. So,
Right.
yeah. What advice would you give someone still reprogramming the church to embrace the deities? I don't know if you mean actually reprogramming the church or your mindset about the church.
Yourself. Yeah. I think that's
To,
what they meant.
okay. What advice would you give
Yeah,
them?
because it's like you can't reprogram the church. You got to reprogram yourself. I
Yeah.
would say start experimenting, as in really facing your fears. Okay. So, for example, let me give you an example. The underworld. I have this really, like, I have this fascination with the underworld. I mean, it was such a fascination that it just kept, it was like nonstop. And I was like, okay, what is this? But my fears kept hindering me from fully going in. And it was the surrendering and the acknowledging and facing it fully. If we don't acknowledge or face it completely, how are you ever going to know the energy? How are you going to ever to experience? And I know this is paradoxical too, because with your fear, you may feel it might get convoluted and muddled up with your belief of, oh my God, I'm scared. So that's the energy that I'm feeling. And that's what's being reflected back to me. Is that really, um, is that really Santa Muerte? That feels too scary for me. So then you stop. But when you have this level of surrendering to actually facing the things that you're afraid of, that's where you can start to do the reframing and the reprogramming. That's what I've done, at least.
Oh wow.
Because yeah, because there's no, for me, I felt like if I continue to deny it and suppress it, it's only going to want to express.
Mm,
And it might express in a way that is not conducive to my life.
yeah, yeah. Deep.
What's your take on that?
No, I totally agree. Yeah, you know, it's funny because I'm sitting here thinking, it's like you're like the female reflection of me. You know, like sometimes people will talk and I disagree here and there, but I'm 100% aligned with what you're saying. I'm just like
Thank
amazed
you.
that
That.
and I'm so happy that we met. You know, I'm just like
Yeah.
I didn't know that when we were doing the meditation that you possessed all this wonderful knowledge. I didn't know that at all. But
The looks can be deceiving.
yeah, yeah.
I was like, what she know? Oh, trust me, honey. There's a whole lot over here.
Because no, I knew that you were on point when you mentioned Neville Goddard, and I said, "Oh, he's my favorite," you know. And I was like,
Hmm.
um, I said, "Okay, she's really got a good energy going."
Yep.
I want to. Oh, we have a lot of questions, but we're running out of time. I want you
Yeah.
to tell us about how people can contact you, get a session with you, the whole works. Give us your sales pitch, whatever, you know.
So, okay. So you can actually find me on YouTube as well. Okay. I do have a YouTube channel. I just recently got on back. Okay. We back, honey. We back. But you can, I know you have, I sent you my calendar link. You can schedule a call with me there. What I do with my calls is to see if we are a good fit to work together. And what I like to say is if we can create magic together. Because I do have an online program, which is The Magic That Is You. Magic with the K, okay?
All
The
right.
Magic That Is You blueprint, okay? Not the magic with just the C, it's the magic with the K.
Okay.
The Magic That Is You blueprint, and I'm currently enrolling for that. So if this, like, if this resonated with you and you feel like, I need to know more, you will get more, because in my program you will have access to me, because that's how I support my clients. And then anything else, you can reach out to me on Facebook, RayAnn Chi. You can message me there. I'm not active on Instagram, so Facebook is where you can find me. If you wanted to do like a one-on-one session, I do energy work on a somatic approach when it comes to my one-to-one sessions. So tapping into the subconscious as well. So that's what I do. And then if you wanted to go obviously on a deeper level where you're like, I really just like, I want to get to know this more and I want a guide to guide me through, I offer one-to-one, which is a 6-month term. Okay. And I don't take many people on that because the investment is a lot more than my group, but that is a lot more intensive. So, and that one is through Boxer. So it's basically you'll have access to me like, you know, like a regular 9 to 5 type of thing. Where it's like, oh my God, yeah, it's that kind of coaching.
Okay, while you're seeing that, what type of work will they get into? Is it going to be shadow work? Is it going to be, you know, like, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So inner child work, shadow work, a lot of self-analysis. So there's a process. Okay. So there's prerequisites to shadow work and the inner child work. So there's prerequisites to that. And then we get to the main component, which is really the whole program, which is shifting your identity and changing out your self-concepts, meaning say goodbye and die off to your old self and reemerge into the new self. So that's the processes that I go through. I mean, I can't like break it down to you. I could, but it's like
that's fine. No, that's fine.
But that's the main component.
Let me tell you something.
Energy work that
let me tell you something. I was just looking for something really quick. I can't find it, but that's all right. No, I found it. There are women online who profess to be magicians, and that I have real gripes about because they make stuff up, they teach the wrong stuff, and they have these lots of subscribers following them, and these women are leading people down the wrong path. And as you know, I have a problem with cursing. I don't like if I say if you have a spiritual leader that comes around and every word comes out of their mouth is a 4-letter word. Well, not that you should like say, oh, well, they're terrible, but that's a red flag, right? Mm-hmm. What I want to say here is all you, this is the only woman that I highly endorse, who is like a reflection of me. You know, I mean, you have said everything that I believe in, you know, I mean, spot on. And I think that you should work with her, take a course. She is someone special, but it's rare that I come across somebody who's doing work that I totally agree with or can see eye to eye with. But you, I think you're a wonderful, wonderful being, a wonderful soul.
Thank you.
You know?
Thank you. I just want to ask, so what do you feel like with some of the women, what they're teaching, and you know, that's just like so off. Like,
oh yeah. Number one, it's all intellectual. Mm-hmm. There is no application. Mm-hmm. They're telling you about, and it's all fear-based program about the conspiracy, the ruling elite, and all of this stuff, but it's never on, like you said, a deep spiritual outlook of love, embracing everyone. It's always about, I'm going to reveal to you what their plan is and what they're doing. But there's no spirit work. There's no shadow work. There's no calling upon the deities to assist you. And to me, that's like, okay, well, all you're doing is you're just fear-based programming. You're a conspiracy theorist. You're not a spiritual person. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that bothers me. And I'm saying, and because it's back to the intellectual masturbation, because people, in society, we're so conditioned to believe in the sales pitch, but we need to really follow people who walk, who walk in the path, walk in the light, who do the work. You know what I mean? And you, to me, are genuine. You seem like a person, and not. I
put my heart in. So I do have a shadow work course online too. It's very comprehensive. It's just shadow work, but it has all the components that you will need to do shadow work where you're not feeling confused. Because people get into shadow work and they're like, I feel stuck. Because now what? So I cover integration. I cover self-esteem work so that when you start seeing these aspects of yourself, you have a better understanding and you can actually take it on where you're not suppressing again. I cover inner child work. And these are all prerequisites into the bulk of shadow work. And then integration is a critical piece to shadow work, because if you don't have the integration, you're going to go in this loop again of just intellectualizing everything.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think that's the big problem with some people who practice shadow work, is that you need both the light and the dark, and they don't understand integration. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So consequently, they try to destroy the other side, get rid of it. And I said, no, you have to embrace it.
You can't. You can't get rid of it. It's a part of you, honey. Exactly. It ain't going nowhere, but try to express in a different way where you feel like it's a whole nother entity, but it's not. It's really you. Okay, it's really you.
Exactly. You know, I'm a big Star Trek fan, and I always equate it to this. There's an episode where Captain Kirk gets into the transporter, and he's split in half, the good Kirk and the bad Kirk, right? And toward the end of the episode, he meets his alter ego, the evil Kirk, and he looks at the guy and he says, "I can't live without you." Yep. And that is the understanding that we're living in a society that is predominantly left brain, and it sets up as good versus evil. Yep. And we don't see that there are lessons to be learned by so-called evil people. That we must, as the great I-ching oracle, the Chinese oracle says, everything serves to further. So even the challenges that you face, from whether it be your parents did you wrong, your uncle did you wrong, your brother did you wrong, sister did you wrong, your boss did you wrong, you must use that as a path to higher enlightenment. Now, it doesn't mean that you go up to the person and go, "I forgive you, I'm spiritual." It doesn't necessarily mean that, because God is about justice. God is about righting wrongs. You know what I mean? But you don't let it harm your soul, your spirit, to where you're walking and you're bitter and you're angry. No. You have to be at peace, you know? Yep. So that's what the understanding is.
That's the gift of shadow work.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you're right. It's again, seeing the full spectrum. And that's seeing all aspects of yourself. That's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Perfect example of shadow. It's like, you know, he tries to take a potion and just gets rid of all those pieces, but it's still one. It's still him.
Yeah.
Still him.
And just like Bruce Banner, he has to learn to live with the Hulk.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. And when he accepted it, what happened? There was no split anymore.
Exactly.
He was at peace.
It was integration.
Yeah, he was like, fine. He's not in his head like, I can't. No, I cannot be Hulk. Yeah, and that's what happens with people who are not integrated, is there's a split in the psyche. And it becomes this like, it's torment, okay? Just stop tormenting yourself, dang it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know if you've been looking at the chat, but they're asking me to do a reading because they're taking a bet. They think you have a lot of Isis energy.
I worked with Isis before.
Yeah. Hey, so do you want me to do?
I don't mind.
We call it a destiny reading. Do you want me to do a destiny reading on you to see?
Yes, do it. Let's see. Since I keep seeing all set. I'm like, okay, let me see it.
All right, let me do the reading here, because they're very much like, I think she has a set energy. I don't think so. I that's just me. I think you've got a lot of passion that's coming from something else, but it could be a set. We'll see. So let's do the reading.
I'm passionate. Yes, I am. It's just. It's the embodiment. It's the exudes. It's just, yes, I am passionate.
So we'll see if they're right, because I tried to avoid it, but they keep writing about it. So
I see that. I keep seeing
it. They're like asking me, please. What did he say? He said, I said, her energy is strong with you. All right. So let's do this reading with the Meduna tear. Hail Tehuti, making victorious Asar over his enemies on the night that of battle, and making the feathering of the Sabahu. Day that destroying the enemies of Nebuchadnezzar. Night that of making to stand the Jet and Jetu. Salutation of power, Father and Mother, Supreme Being who comes as Tehuti. Thanks for the words divine. Our hearts belong to you. Netera, please comment on what is RayAnn's incarnation objective. Why has she reincarnated to this level, this plane of existence? What is her purpose here? We have Nekabet. Nekabet. I'll explain what that is. That is serpent. Now, when we read my destiny, this means that things you need to work on in this lifetime. Mm-hmm. All right, what else do we have? We have pick another card. And then we have Qesankh, Anubis. So we have Nekabet and Anubis. So it wasn't a set. It wasn't a set. So Qesankh is the deity that governs the logical mind, facts, reasoning. He's very good at being book learned. He's educated, but he deals with belief a lot and understanding. It's said that if your thoughts are in line with truth, Qesankh will open the way. He's known as the opener of the way. Now, the Nekabet also is an energy, which is a very good energy. It's your psychic protection, but it also can be a psychic distraction. If you're so open and receptive to people's thoughts and ideas, it can impregnate your spirit, and your belief system, which is Qesankh, can get off balance because some people have wrong beliefs. But Qesankh, and both these cards were positive that you got. Qesankh is right beliefs that are based in Ma'at truth. You know what I mean? So Qesankh is talking about, it's saying, work on your intellectual capacity, your left brain, work on the idea of what is a belief. Now, a belief is not necessarily truth, you know. A belief is an idea empowered with an emotion. And we see this a lot in Christian churches because they have a belief. But those beliefs are not in line with truth. So, and because it's in the positive, it's saying that your logical faculty, your belief system is on the positive, on the good side. So that's great. And it's awesome. You know?
Yay. And then how about Anubis?
No, it's the same deity. It's just a different name. Yeah. So you have Nekabet, which is the serpent, and that's the psychic energy. Okay. And then you have Qesankh, you know. So some people equate Qesankh to Anubis as the same. Now, in ancient Egyptian mythology, Qesankh or Anubis was the one that embalmed you for the mummification process. You know what I mean? So he was there and he was opening your mouth, which is called the opening of the mouth ceremony, opener of the way. You know what I mean? So he opens the way to allow you to pass for your success. You know what I mean? But your ideas, your thoughts, your beliefs, and he's about segregation, meaning that he looks at things separately and he labels and he defines those things. And that's a good quality, you know? So it's just as long as and he's also entrepreneurial. He's a very entrepreneurial deity. He's a trick. Now, let me tell you something. When you laughed at the class on the hypnosis, I said, that's Qesankh, because Qesankh loves to laugh. He's very much that type of energy. He loves tricks. So he's very much into like having fun, enjoying things.
It's interesting because in class back in the day when I was younger, I would just laugh uncontrollably. And my teacher's like, what are you laughing about? And I just would laugh and laugh and laugh. And there's times where I didn't even know why I was laughing because I just had like funny visions. And it just would make it even more laughable. That's interesting. Now I'm going to have to look this up.
Okay. Now they still won't let this go. Now they're saying you're in a set clan. So the clan is your natural natal personality, and that could be true. And for that, we'd have to do the astrology reading. Shepsu Haru. I got Nekabet. I didn't get Wajet. I got Nekabet. She's Nekabet.
I do have a lot of scorpionic energy in my chart. I'm not a Scorpio, but I have 4 planets in Scorpio, all in the same house. So it's very, very prominent. I am a lot of Libra as well. I have my sun sign Libra, or ascending sign Libra, moon in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio, Uranus in Scorpio, and my Mars in Scorpio. So,
and you're right. Qesankh likes popcorn too. Qesankh loves popcorn, you know. So
I love popcorn.
You do? Okay.
I do. I don't like corn, but I like popcorn.
Oh, great. Now the reason why, because I like to explain the logic, Qesankh is also known as a trickster. You know, he loves He's very, like I said, very entrepreneurial, loves to laugh, and loves to make money. And so popcorn starts out with the popcorn kernel and it pops. So he loves those type of little tricks, and he loves candy. And so he's a great deity. He's really, really, really good. So now he's opposite of Tahuti, who's Tahuti is Hermes, and Hermes is the god of wisdom. Because wisdom is higher than logic, if you understand what I mean.
Oh yeah, we talked about that. It's like that wisdom, embodiment, feeling, and then or intellectualizing. Yep.
Yeah, because Tahuti is the mouthpiece of God, so he speaks the truth, and that's the Tahuti. You can equate that to the Akashic records and tapping into that infinite wisdom of God and all that. And I'm sorry we kept you so long. I do apologize.
That's okay. I like this stuff.
Questions. They had so many questions, and
listen. I'm like, we could be here all day. We chit chatting and stuff, but it's cool. Like I have, it's Saturday, so it's all good.
Good. And they wouldn't let go of the Aset thing, but that's cool. So thank you very much. You guys sign up to a program. If you have an opportunity, go and book a session with her. She's an awesome person. What is this? A videotape? Or what's that? It says, I definitely have to review this video with a pen and notebook. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yes. A lot to learn here. So thank you so much, RayAnn, for being with us today. And
I love it. Yes, yeah. Thank you so much.
And I would love to have you back in the near future. We can talk some more.
Yes, because I don't think I'm like, did we really talk about trauma?
No, we didn't get into that, but that's okay. You know what I mean? It's like,
we'll do it in the future. But a lot of the path that we've been on, this is how you heal trauma. A lot of it too is the shadow work, the inner child work, the energy work, and really having the embodiment of the information that has been gathered. So how do we heal the trauma? This. You could do it on yourself. You could do it on your own, or you have someone like Qesankh. Look at me. Perfect. I'm like, because it's not an ordinary name, okay? You can have Qesankh to work with, because we could do it on our own. But when you have someone to facilitate or even guiding you, is so much more powerful. It really is. So
it is. Thank you so much. All right, thank you. So we'll look forward to seeing you in the future. Remember, I discovered her, okay?
Yes. All right, bye. Thank you.
And I want to thank all of you guys for tuning in. I got Bruce Lee in the background there, kicking butt. A wonderful guest. I think the best guest I've had so far. She just has so much wisdom and knowledge. It's just amazing. But thank you all for tuning in today. Thank you for your wonderful, wonderful questions. Don't forget to hit the like button and to donate to the channel. That's very important, because it's going to help me get more guests and keep the channel going, because YouTube likes to strike us down, demonetize us for talking this stuff. All right. So again, thank you all so much. It was an excellent session today. So this is Qesankh Ma Keperu, son of Ma'at and Tahuti. My aunt, as you know, is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Until my next broadcast, Amin Ra.